Wes Wyatt this evening. Thank you for joining us for our 30-minute all-weather digital streaming show. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, of course, the WBRC website, the First Alert Weather app, social media. We got you covered, and we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about for tonight on, ta-da, the first day of summer. We had the summer solstice occur this morning, but I'm sure a lot of you are like, cool, it's the first official day of summer, but it's been feeling like summer for quite some time now. So nothing unusual for Alabama, but let's get right to it and talk about that summer solstice. So when you have the summer solstice, that occurs typically on June 21st or June 22nd each year. And this is due to not just the Earth's rotation or the Earth's orbit around the sun, but also the tilt of the Earth's axis. The tilt of the Earth's axis is actually what causes seasons to occur. If the Earth's axis didn't have a tilt, then we just wouldn't have as much seasonality. But here we are. Notice too, when you look at this, that the Earth is tilted towards, or the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. So we're in the northern hemisphere right now. The sun's direct rays are actually at 23.5 degrees north. You're like, where's that? Tropic of Cancer. So that's where the sun's direct rays are. If you think about the sun's direct rays, probably going to be pretty hot where that is. And that is the case in the northern hemisphere, hence kicking off our summer. Now, if you live in the southern hemisphere, today is the first day of winter. And then you flip it. When we have the winter solstice in December, that's when the southern hemisphere's winter starts, or summer. See, even me getting confused here. But yeah, so that's a little fun fact to know, that the tilt of the Earth's axis is what causes the seasons. And this is the longest day in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the shortest day. But this is kind of a graphic here that is showing from the National Weather Service that tilt of the Earth's axis, which is at 23.5 degrees. So the Tropic of Cancer is up here in the northern hemisphere, and with the northern hemisphere tilted towards the sun, that's what's going to be causing our summer that we see. So eventually we'll have fall come back. Obviously not feeling much like fall right now, but as we kick off summer, we have obviously been facing some extreme heat, and we actually are going to be checking in with meteorologist Fred Hunter. That's right, Mr. Absolutely Alabama himself, talking about how this extreme heat can have an effect on the food we eat.
Welcome to another Absolutely Alabama Weather Extra. We're doing our behind the scenes with Larry Melvin Stearns here today at Larry Melvin's restaurant in Tallahassee. Larry, the weather affects us all. We know that, yep. But it affects you here in the kitchen. How so?
Well, now, the weather, the main effect that the weather has on me is the people trying to get here. And sometimes, like today, I'd appreciate a rain today. I'd appreciate some rain today, because the older people, when it's so hot, they won't get out. And this whole thing depends on old people coming here. But if it rains, then they'll feel like coming out. And sometimes rain helps my business. They want to get out and come, you know, because they ain't so hot. But, you know, today, I don't know, this may be a bad day for me. But, you know, then the weather.
Well, yeah, does it affect you you're fixing chicken and dumplings here?
Yeah, well, it don't make much difference to my dumplings, because the moisture they got in them came out that gallon of buttermilk that I put in there. But, you know, when I'm inside this building, the main effect that it has on my business is the people who come here and don't come here. And so, you know, as far as affecting what I cook in here, it don't have a lot of effect on me inside this building, but it sure does make a big difference outside that door out there as to what the weather does here. So,
well, the fried chicken and the chicken and dumplings will be ready.
They'll be ready right on time. I promise that. Now, sure enough. And are y'all gonna stay and eat with me today?
Absolutely.
All right, absolutely. All right.
All right. Thank you, Larry Melvin. Come to Tallahassee and stop by and see Larry.
Do that for me. Thank y'all.
Well, Larry, you had me at chicken and dumplings. I think I will be over there for lunch tomorrow. So first alert for me coming. Coming up next on First Alert Weather Extra, we have been talking about hashtag Show Your Stripes, a campaign kickstarted by meteorologists and climate scientists to highlight, of course, climate change. Meteorologist Jill Gilardi and I will be breaking that down for you. And could we maybe see a break from this summer heat that has been scalding us over the past couple weeks? And then our dear Mickey Ferguson has your beach forecast. First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be right back.
The next big thing gives you a heads up days ahead of the next big storm system. The next 24 gives you the most accurate and updated look at tomorrow. And the next 60 gives you a 60-minute advantage against Mother Nature. Knowing what's next, days, hours, or minutes away, this is why we First Alert.
When we declare First Alert Weather Day, it's all hands on deck. We're on your side and in your hand with the First Alert Weather app. While Wes and the rest of the team track changes moment to moment, the app keeps you prepared and safe with video and alerts for your neighborhood. And if the power goes out, no worries, you can stream us anywhere. It's easy and it's always on. Stay ahead of Alabama weather. Just scan and tap and have the First Alert Weather app. This is why we First Alert.
On Good Day Alabama, we treat severe weather with the highest priority. It's more than just meteorologists. Everyone plays a part. Having more reporters in more places takes you beyond the First Alert, showing you the impact that we see on radar. We're live in your neighborhood when you need us. On air, online, and on the app. That's the advantage of having the most reporters on your side. That's the advantage of Good Day Alabama.
Our lives revolve around planning for what's next, like the next ball game.
One hot dog with ketchup? It's the same with weather. That's why we're on your side with the next big thing, the next 60, and the next 24. Knowing what's next, days, hours, or minutes away.
This is why we First Alert. Who puts ketchup on a hot dog?
Getting live breaking news and local updates has never been easier. That's because we're on your side with the WBRC streaming app. Need updates between newscasts? You can catch up quick here. And when we're live on TV, we're live here too. Just search WBRC on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV. WBRC Fox 6 News is on your side.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. You know, here with the First Alert Weather team, obviously, as the name suggests, we're talking about weather a lot. But you also got to talk about climate too, and this is a very important topic, especially in this day and age. So you've been hearing Jill and I talking about today, if you watched any of the news earlier on the regular old TV, hashtag show your stripe. So you're probably wondering, do I need to be breaking out the zebra stripes or something? No, I mean, if you want to, by all means, you know we won't judge you. But this was an initiative started by a climate scientist in the UK to get a good visual to highlight, to maybe for communities to better understand what exactly the impact climate change is having across the globe and in your neck of the woods as well. So I'm going to step off the screen here. What this is showing you, this mosaic, is basically the change in climate over the past 150 years or so. So, well, almost 200 years, kind of basically since the Industrial Revolution started in the 1800s. And what you're looking at here is each line represents the average temperature for the year across the globe. So you're taking temperatures from all across the globe, different countries, different cities, averaging that together, and you spit out either a blue bar or a red bar. Blue highlights where temperatures ran generally below average. The average temperature was lower than it should be, and then where you see the red bars, that's where the average temperature was warmer than it should be. And so what you'll notice here across the globe, you had cooler temperatures way back in the 1800s into the 1900s, but notice where it has gotten more pronounced within the past 2 decades. And you may be wondering, well, what could cause that? Well, first, we know climate change can be a heated topic. It shouldn't be because it's science, but we want to break it down for you. So there are 2 types of causes for climate change. First of all, we'll tell you right now, yes, the climate does fluctuate. Climate change is natural. It's been happening for millions of years. You have cooler periods and you have warmer periods. The Earth is always going to be in flux. So why are we saying, well, humans are having an impact on climate? Because of the Industrial Revolution and because this is a marked warming that we've never seen. Now, the period of record, when we started keeping actual data, only goes back a couple hundred years, but we have something called proxy data that climate scientists use, and they can look at things like tree rings, ice cores, sediments in the ocean to determine what the climate was thousands, hundreds, millions of years ago. And so when we look at that temperature data, that tells us that this is very unusual. Yes, you have periods of warming, but what has been the difference in the past 20 years? It's been fossil fuels being put into the atmosphere. So you have natural climate change fluctuations, but what has been the marked impact over the past 20 years or so, really since the Industrial Revolution is when this kind of gradually began, is because of fossil fuels getting into the atmosphere, and that is a human impact on climate change. So we showed you those stripes. This is also showing, remember, this is looking at global temperatures, how generally cooler than average, but then you see that marked warming, very increased, that exponential rise over the past 20 years or so. Now, what we're looking at here is the USA. And again, you can see, even as I step off here, yes, you had some periods of warming, but generally within the past 30 years in the United States, there has been an increase in that global temperature. Temperatures have been running above average. And so sometimes people will say it's a hot day. It's like, this must be climate change. Well, you can't just equate one day to climate change. You can't equate a week to climate change. You can't use one summer as evidence of climate change. It's about context. So you have to look at how these temperature trends happen over decades, centuries, and that's what we're doing here. So yeah, it's hot today, but I can't tell you, yeah, it's because of global warming. We'd have to see if this happens a lot, and over the past 20 years, the past 2 decades, we have been seeing that marked warming. So yes, you had some years that were warmer than others, but looking at the graph here for the USA, you can certainly see there is a big change within the past few decades. And now this is Alabama. Now Alabama looks a little different than the USA and the globe. You can see, hey, there were some periods of warming back in the 1910s, 20s, 30s. You see a cooler period in the 60s here into the 70s. But notice too, you also have within the past few decades that overall warming trend. So you're like, okay, well, Alabama, it was warm before too. So this doesn't really prove it. But remember, we're not just talking about Alabama. We're talking about the globe. You're taking that average. You're going to have some places that maybe have seen cooler than average temperatures, but generally across the globe, we have been seeing that rise in temperatures, and that can be contributed. There is data that suggests that this is happening because of humans' impact on the climate. It's called anthropogenic climate change. So you have the natural climate change and you have that influenced by humans. So that's why we have to take the responsibility upon ourselves to protect the planet. And we mentioned Alabama, and I know a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, what's the deal in my own backyard? Have these summers indeed been getting warmer? Because it just feels ridiculously hot outside. I want to bring in meteorologist Jill Gillard. Jill, tell us what's going on here in Alabama. Are the summers really getting hotter?
I mean, the data speaks for itself. So as we take a look at this chart here, Lauren, that was a great explanation, by the way, much better than I could do. I don't even know what that last word you used, the human impacts. I haven't read all that. Lauren knows everything about climate, very passionate about it. But yeah, as you take a look over the past 50 years and you do the average and you see, okay, what about the summer months? How are we trending? And you've got days that are above normal, at least 33 plus days. So there is some indication on a localized level that we are starting to see some warmer temperatures and above normal temperatures for the summer. And in terms of just Birmingham itself, we're averaging now about 2.9 degrees warmer in the summer months than we did, say, 50 years ago. So there are signs that, yes, it is impacting us not only on a global scale, but on that very minute scale here. And we are going to be talking about the summer warming is actually expanded across many areas across the U.S. It's been most noticeable across the Pacific Southwest. As we know, it's been so hot, so dry, and that just keeps feeding itself year after year. And so it gets harder and harder for there to be all that snow in the mountains and the reservoirs to be filled with that water they need to get them through the summer months. And the snow melt is just not, they're not seeing that much. So again, you're talking about that impacts also across the East Coast. They've been noticing that their months during the summertime has been much warmer than normal. Again, this is since the past 50 years. So that comparison, certainly as Lauren was talking about, you need several decades to kind of show some comparisons, and then the data speaks for itself. I mean, those colors really catch your eye. In the past, 10, 20 years, things are just getting a lot hotter, that's for sure. Now, what we have kind of gathered from this data is that 96% of the U.S. had an increase in summer average temperatures. So that's, the majority. And hotter summers can lead to more heat-related illnesses, and the number one weather killer is the heat. So that's the last thing we need, is it to get hotter during the summertime. And we can also see air quality even worse than it has been. And again, you have several different vulnerable groups that can be impacted by that. You have populations like those even playing sports or working outside, and those with, the chronic illnesses that you're going to be more impacted if this trend continues. So again, as a recap, the climate is changing, and as we know, it always has changed, but unfortunately it's changing in a direction that, it's hard to know if we can make that reverse. But there are certain things we can start to do and try and do if we can, and hope that if enough people do that, that we can slow this progress. Lauren?
Yeah, thank you for that so much, Jill. And that is so true. You think, what can I do as an individual? But it has to be society, communities coming together to make that change. So hopefully this will inspire you to look more into the climate. I mean, if you think about it, we're talking about Alabama, it's always kind of hot. It's had those hotter periods, cooler periods. But the place on Earth that is warming the most drastically is our Arctic regions, Antarctica, and those are our cooling mechanisms that we have on Earth. You have energy fluctuations, a transfer of energy between the equator, where it's really hot and warm, and that air will move up to the poles, and then the poles will bring that cooler air down, so you have these energy fluctuations. But what's happening if you don't have that cooler air to be redistributed at the poles? Can cause some problems, and that's why it's so important that we talk about climate change in this day and age and don't make it a political issue. We'll be right back with a look at your local forecast, and Jill will take us beyond the 7-day.
Every morning on Good Day Alabama, we know the news that matters the most to you is the news that hits closest to home.
And we know that to tell the best story means going to where the story is. That's why having more reporters in more places is so essential.
Giving you more local stories that impact your family, your school, and your safety.
On air, online, and on the app.
That's the advantage of having the most reporters on your side. That's the advantage of Good Day Alabama.
I hear from people all the time with questions about healthcare, their insurance, and the safety of certain treatments. I'm Morgan Hightower, and I investigate these stories because if I were being taken advantage of, or if my family couldn't get the help they needed, I would want to know how to take action. That's why WBRC Fox 6 News investigates. We're on your side, getting answers, keeping you informed and safe. Contact us when you need a team on your side.
Get pinpoint locations down to your street level on the First Alert Weather app. You can download by searching WBRC in your app store. That's accuracy you can plan on.
I hear from people all the time having problems with their landlord or worry about being ripped off by a bad business. I'm Josh Gann, and I investigate stories like these because if I had questions about protecting my finances or how to save more money, I would want the best advice available. That's why WBRC Fox 6 News investigates. We're on your side getting answers, keeping you informed and safe. Contact us when you need a team on your side.
Get First Alert weather and breaking news. Follow us on Twitter. Search at WBRC News.
Get First Alert weather and breaking news. Follow us on Facebook. Search at WBRC News.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Of course, we were talking about the changing climate and global warming, which is likely caused by human activities, but we got to look at the smaller scale. Weather is on a much smaller scale. Over the next week, it's still going to be feeling pretty muggy, and that's going to put those feels like temperatures in first alert territory in the triple digits. But hey, we also have a first alert for maybe a little stray shower storm cooling us off. Not tonight, not going to happen. But as we put our futurecast in motion here, you see it's picking up on, okay, maybe we squeeze out just a little one. Not a guarantee, but hey, we'll take what we can get. We'll see who will play the weather lottery for tomorrow and get lucky with that. As far as Thursday, Jill's been mentioning that we've got a little comfy front coming through. When we say a comfy front in the winter months, that would be like a cold front, but obviously not a real cold front this time of the year, but bringing us a little dose of drier air. Ahead of that, we could be seeing a few isolated showers and storms on Thursday, but honestly, the rain chances for the latter half of the week aren't overly impressive. You'll notice by the time we get into Sunday, we could be seeing a few more hit or miss storms in the forecast. The big story this week is that heat and humidity cranking up, but we're no stranger to that here in Alabama. Jill, could we see maybe any relief from this beyond the 7-day? I got my fingers crossed.
Right, we can always hope, but you know, there are indications that we might see maybe a change in the weather pattern, but of course we need everything kind of coming together for that. Right now the Climate Prediction Center says still going to probably be trending above normal. We're kind of in that 50-60% range, that chance for above normal temperatures, so that looks to continue at this point in time. And as we take a look at just forecast numbers, the highs we'll focus on, there's a couple dips there, but generally it looks above normal most days with those highs in the 90s as we go beyond the 7-day. In terms of precipitation, well, of course, we're getting into, we go beyond the 7-day into July. So we're going to be focusing on, of course, you know, fireworks. Will there be Mother Nature's fireworks to contend with? So something we'll be watching and seeing what the pattern does. But as we fast forward to the 29th of this month, some indications of some shower and thunderstorm development along the Gulf Coast. It does include Alabama in that. So we might see those just daytime, heat of the day pop-up thunderstorms with that. Maybe a little shift in the jet stream, enough to kick up additional showers and storms. We fast forward to the 3rd, and we might have Mother Nature's fireworks, something we'll have to keep a watch on. Of course, we got thunder in the mountain happening, things like that. We have on the 4th, maybe some additional showers and storms. Again, this is so far out. We just give you that idea. We'll see how it trends this week. If it continues to show up beyond the 7-day, well, we'll start to have our confidence increase in that forecast, but certainly looks a little bit more unsettled as we go into the month of July. That's beyond the 7-day. Lauren?
Well, I know my plants will be happy to hear some rains coming in. We'll be right back with a check on that beach forecast with Mickey Ferguson and a final look at your local weather after the break.
Getting live breaking news and local updates has never been easier. That's because we're on your side with the WBRC streaming app. Need updates between newscasts? You can catch up quick here. And when we're live on TV, we're live here too, giving you more ways to get caught up with everything happening where you live. Plus, exclusive videos from your First Alert weather team. It's easy to use and it's free. Just search WBRC on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV. WBRC Fox 6 News is on your side.
You've got enough to worry about every day. That's why the First Alert weather team is on your side, so you can plan with confidence and take the worry out of weather. With exclusive First Alert AccuTrack, we pinpoint storms before they arrive. And with Weather Every 6, you are always informed. Alabama's weather changes fast, but we're working even faster, updating and alerting you first. We know your plans are important. This is why we First Alert.
Every morning on Good Day Alabama, we're on your side, trying to get you where you're going safely. First Alert Traffic updates you on slowdowns and gives you alternate routes. Having more reporters covering the roads you drive on gives you even more info to help you know more about why it happened and when it will be cleared. On air, online, and on the app. That's the advantage of having the most reporters on your side. That's the advantage of Good Day Alabama.
I get calls and emails all the time from people wanting to know how cities, counties, and the state are spending their tax dollars. I'm Jennifer Horton, and I investigate how your tax dollars are being used because I don't want your money or mine wasted or fraudulently spent by politicians in power. That's why WBRC Fox 6 News investigates. We're on your side, following the paper trail, asking the tough questions, and giving you the facts. Contact us when you need a team on your side.
Hey, let's take a look at your beach forecast. This is, as of this morning, this is Gulf Shores, Alabama. 86 degrees when we were looking at it this morning, but looks like lots of folks are headed to the beaches there this time of the year, and there's lots and lots of vacations heading on down, whether it's Gulf Shores or Orange Beach, Pensacola, down the beach there to Fort Walton or Panama City, or just wherever you're going. Destin, 85 degrees is typically the water temperature you're going to experience in July and August. Here in June, typically we're about 82 degrees, so the water's a little cooler now than we're expecting it to be in just a few months. So enjoy the beach while you can. I just got back from there, and it felt wonderful, the water. We do have a moderate rip current there for tomorrow. We get into Thursday and Friday, there's a low rip current. They had a lot of seaweed from storms a couple of weeks ago, but I think the seaweed's really dropped off, so really a good time to go to the beach. Let's take a look at your Gulf Beach forecast as we head into Thursday, and you can see 100 degrees forecast for Pensacola, Destin at 99, 96 into Panama City. Meanwhile, Gulf Shores at about 92 degrees. And as we get into your future radar for Friday, still relatively dry, maybe a few specks of rain up there towards Destin, but temperatures a little bit cooler later on this week, with it just topping out in the 90s to 80s. Now, we do have a chance of showers there by Saturday at 4 p.m., but they always say rain at the beach is better than a dry day at home, and I kind of tend to agree with them. We've got your Gulf Coast 7-day beach forecast then. You see those rain chances going up a little bit as we get into the weekend. About a 20 to 30% chance, up to 40% as we head into early next week. And that's the same basic forecast as you heard for our neck of the woods going into next week. Now, if the beaches aren't your thing and you want to head to the mountains, the Smoky Mountain forecast looks like this. We have temperature readings in the 90s, low to mid 90s all the way through the weekend. We do have a better chance of rain there as well for Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Up to about 50% rain chance to kick off the new work week. So that's the breakdown on that. Anywhere you're going, you can find the weather there on our First Alert weather app. And while you're there, send us a picture of your vacation if you want to, and we can feature that right here on Weather Extra. Have fun at the beach or mountains.
Thanks for that, Mickey. And you know, like you said, yeah, we definitely want to see those photos of you on vacation. I'm going to check the WBRC First Alert weather app right now. Not seeing much there at the moment. So we always love to see your photos when they come in. So let me pull up. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show you before we go. I was mentioning this with Jill. We talked about anthropogenic climate change. So you're like, ooh, that's a tongue twister. So anthropogenic just means human-made, a human impact. So when you have anthropogenic climate change, that can be attributed to the impact humans are having on the earth, and that's why that marked increase in fossil fuels, you see a lag with the temperatures rising with that as well. So hopefully we'll be making some changes in the years ahead for future generations, not climate change, but good change to hopefully get it back to more normal levels. But as far as our heat, well, that's not going to happen here in Alabama. We're going to be seeing those above average temperatures potentially all the way into the weekend. But notice next week, as Jill was saying, we begin to see that pattern change a little bit. The humidity overall will be here to stay, apart from a little reprieve on Friday with that dry heat again. But you can catch us for the latest on your forecast for tonight. Any tweaks to those rain chances on WBRC Fox 6 News starting at 9. I'm First Alert meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Join us back here tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt will be back at the weather desk.